there we go. Right. Now, what I'm going to do, if it's okay, is we'll have the recording on the video as well. And later on, I'll put it on YouTube, like rushes, so that if anybody's especially interested in the show, they can find the rushes afterwards. Like a little bit after the show, I'll put it up. And nobody ever watches it really. But I think it's nice for us, for you and me. And if we want it later on, or maybe some crazy fans will check it out.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, crazy fans, if you're there in the future.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to record the show now. So we're going to talk about it. So I think let's talk a bit about, let's introduce you and your music, where you're at. Then we'll talk about Cote d'Ivoire, some thoughts about music of Cote d'Ivoire and the history, and then we'll come back to your music. So like a sandwich. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. Yeah.
So welcome to the News Agents, Anderson Lower. Great to have you.
Oh, great to meet you, Jude. And thank to Resonance Radio, all technicians and staff who make this show possible tonight. And the first thing I would like to say is to express my gratitude to everyone for helping me, because my career started with Resonance Radio, and my godmother, Debbie Gold. She's a great lady, and I pay my special thank to everyone. And the first thing that I would like to say here is my condolences to the royal family for the loss of the Queen Elizabeth II. I think that is the greatest thing to do before I start this show with you, because she cared for everyone and she deserves to be paid tribute to.
Yeah, a special person, I think, for so many people, you know, and also for me, with the Queen, it's like she's from a generation, because she reminds me, if I think of the Queen, I think in my parents' generation, and I think of all my life. She was there all my life. And I think of my mom, and I think of, you know, some of the, especially the ladies that I've known in my life. I think of the older ladies, and, you know, respect to that generation.
Yes, yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that's great. That's just really great.
Thank you.
So thank you, Jude, once more for having me tonight. And we're going to have a great show.
We are. And I want to, first of all, let's kick off with your new single, actually. I think when we're just ready and waiting to hear it. So tell me about your latest single, the big launch. Let's talk about that.
The one coming or the one already released?
The one. Let's do the one coming first, and then we'll go backwards. That's quite good. Yeah, let's talk about the one that's going to come. Let's do that.
Yeah, the one that is going to come is called Libere Pilcheri Ballet, and that is a really a piece of work in which I wrote the lyric myself, and great inspirations looking at the political and social and economic situation in Ivory Coast, and the human rights abuses there inspired to produce this record, because there is what I call a cavalier way of running the country, and there is no freedom of speech. Artists, everyone is censored, no one can talk. And this Pilcheri Ballet, there is actually a tension between France and Mali. And there were some mercenaries, Ivorian mercenaries, who'd been stopped arrested and jailed in Bamako, in Mali. And the Mali government, which were called the military government, they arrested the mercenaries and jailed them. And the Ivory Coast leaders claim that they deny that those persons were Ivorian first, and second, the Mali government said that, oh, but since you denied that these people are from your country, then we're going to jail them because they are mercenaries. They came here with a plane, an aeroplane full of weapons, and with illegal entrance into the country. Therefore, we're going to jail, to judgment, and jail them. And that raised tension between the Ivory government and Mali authorities. And Pure Sherik Balé, she is the leader of the Ivory Coast civil organizations fighting for better living standard for the Ivorians. And she decided, because of the tensions and because of the manner in which the government handles that situations of the 49 mercenaries arrested, she said that, okay, because she is a lady and as a civil fighter, she's going to Mali to inquire about the condition, the detention condition, and the welfare of those Ivorian military who have been arrested and detained, which is a good job she did. And on her return, she was arrested in Ivory Coast, at the Ivory Coast airport, and detained for about 2 days, and then released under pressure. And 2 weeks later, she was invited to go to the police station on invitation of the police commissioner. And she went there, and she's been arrested and charged with a coup attempt and plotting to carry out a coup against the Ivory Coast government. And she's been charged and illegally charged and detained. And I look at these situations, and I think that yes, that woman deserves a national recognition, because the government failed to look at its responsibility and engage in proper diplomacy to negotiate the release of those Ivorian military who've been arrested and jailed as mercenaries. And that woman took risk to face the military government in Mali, Bamako, to seek a release of those Ivorian militaries. Therefore, she doesn't deserve such a treatment, humiliation, and deprivation of civil liberty. And she is the leader of the Ivory Coast civil organization fighting for better living standard. That is one.
And
she was
a person she is. What a brave, takes some brave and takes great altruism, I think, because and I know that it's very strange. I have a song in my family's history that an ancestor of mine wrote, who was a Scottish guy, and he went to he didn't go, but people from his neighborhood, they were involved in something. It sounds a little dodgy from back in the 19th century. They went to Peru and they were charged with with getting involved in local politics, and but I think, who knows, they're probably just stupid young men, and they were locked up, and he was part of a poetry campaign to release them. And and whatever you think, they were kind of concerned for the well-being of the people, and just because they were associated with the military, it didn't mean that they didn't care about the boys or the lads who were part of that, and I think that's really important to keep caring about people.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So that's it. That is similar, okay, to what is happening to that lady actually. So there have been call now for call from the Ivorians on my Facebook, Instagram, coming to me. It's okay, everyone resign. So what shall we do? We want you to produce a song for this lady. I said, okay. So this is something, it is a great honor for me that I haven't been to Ivory Coast for 27 years since I came in England. And now if people came to me to ask me to produce a song for my people, it means that there is a recognition of the work I've been doing so far, even though the government in Ivory Coast does not allow my music to play there, because people play it, online, on social media, and that is great. Then I'm honored, I'm going to do it. I
Well,
sat down.
on Resonance FM for sure. We're going to join in.
Yeah.
We believe in the power of music and the power of music to change things. And it says liberté, and liberté is something we agree with. Is the song, is it in French Creole or is it in French?
The song is partly in French and partly in Bambara.
Bambara.
Bambara is a language spoken widely in West African countries. And I think that having been out of Africa for 27 years, it is the best way for me to reconnect with local people by singing in local language. So to establish my roots and confirm that I still understand their problem and their need by singing in Bambara. So
Could I say greetings in Bambara? Can I ask you if I want to say greetings, everyone?
Oh,
hello, greetings from the radio.
That is Aniche.
Aniche.
Yeah, Aniche.
Aniche.
Aniche, that is hi. If it is in the morning, you say Anisawama.
Anisawama.
Yeah, that is in the morning. In the evening, you say Aniwara, that is in the evening.
Yeah.
When it is night like this, actually, I would say, Jude, Anisu, that is Sufet.
So many.
But my own language, my own maternal mother language is Gere. So I am from the west of Ivory Coast, and I speak Gere. My parents are Gere, so I speak Gere. So the Bambara is a commercial language, a business language spoken by everyone in West African countries. So I believe that by using that language in my music, that will take me closer to the population, despite the mile, the distance that separates me from them. That is what I produce here.
Bambara, so, be a way of talking for different people from different languages and different backgrounds to talk together.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So there is part of it in French. So those who speak French can catch some French word, and those who speak also Bambara can catch the meaning of the song. And in the chorus, I introduce this English word, so which is like a liberate, so that will sound for those who doesn't speak neither Bambara or French. So at least
English belongs to the world now. I think it doesn't belong to England now. It's everywhere and it belongs to everybody. They can do what they want with it. Yeah.
So, yes, indeed. So that is how my brain work it out.
I like it. But I'd like to know, Gary, how do I say hello, everybody, in Gary?
in Gere, that's it was in Gere. Okay, now.
Okay, no.
I'll sell.
No.
No, I'll sell. I'll
Our,
say that. Yeah, I'll say that is. Hello, everyone.
so ourselves, ourselves,
I'll say.
ourselves,
I'll say.
ourselves.
I'll, that's it. That is in my own mother language, Gere.
I'd like
Yeah.
to know more because, yeah, I think it's so interesting. Different
Yeah.
languages I never have a chance to hear, so it's like a privilege. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for. Thank you very much for. Okay, that's a compliment. Okay, thank you.
And
Yeah.
so that was the new single that's coming. And what about your last single? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the last single produced that is called Embargo c'est du nazisme. Embargo c'est du nazisme, which means embargo is Nazism. And I produced that song, and the title speaks of itself. And when you listen to that, I had a long introduction in English, in which I say that they say in Africa that we have economic growth, but what we have is a growth of poverty. Okay, and I'm singing this song for a change in mentalities, for real economic growth to happen in Africa. So the message is clear. I can't understand, I can't imagine that the all African countries, including Ivory Coast, have tremendous resources and they cannot afford education, they cannot afford health, they can't afford anything, and they expect everything from abroad. And they will come on TV and make a false statement, show the statistic that there is economic growth. But what happened on the table of family is far from economic growth, but a growth of misery. So that is my first statement. And the second thing is that there is the tension between Mali and France. And Mali decided to get rid of France because France has been, there is terrorism going on since 2012 in France, and the French have been there for many years, and there was no change, no improvement in the security situation of Mali. And they decided to get rid of Mali and get on Russia with Russia, and Russia came in, and within 3 months, okay, they significantly reduced terrorist threat. And the French said that they don't want to cohabitate with the Russian in Bamako, in France, in Mali. So for saying that they want to establish, to diversify their economic and military partners, okay, they got punished by the French authorities through the ECOWAS, that is the West African economic countries, by imposing an economic and medical embargoes on Mali. And I look at the situation, I said, okay, but that is not the right word of doing things. And the best word of doing things is to negotiate and making sure that the Mali government get along with France rather than punishing those people, because by punishing the government, they are not punishing the government, but they are punishing innocent children, innocent women, innocent nigger. And from there, people are dying from sicknesses, from diseases, from starvation, from famine, and all this.
Because of the sanctions, because they're not getting access to medicine and food that they need.
Yes. So
because of disagreements in other countries that are outside of Mali and outside of Cote d'Ivoire, even this is even pressure from other countries.
Yes, of course. And Mali is a very isolated country in the north of Ivory Coast, in the Saharan land. and they have no maritime port, for example, for transport. So
Yeah.
they were really suffering. So I look at that embargoes. It looked like putting people in a concentration camp and killing them slowly. So then I said, okay, yeah, because when you put someone in a concentration camp, there are people in the concentration camp, and they have access to no food, to no electricity, to nothing at all, and you squeeze them with embargoes, with no medical support, no medical snare. What does it look like? That is Nazism. That is what I said.
Yeah,
Embargo is Nazism. But that's what the first title in English. But Tune called my producer, they said, because of the content, which was largely in French, they requested me to put the title in French. Then, okay, I have to abide by that, and I produce that. And in the end, when you listen to the song, in the end, I'm talking about the freedom, economic freedom, political freedom, and social freedom, and so on, monetary freedom. That is what people want today in Africa. And the strange thing about this song, a very great song, the strange thing about it is that Facebook and Google, they mark that song. It can't be distributed in Africa. It can't be distributed in the European zone. It can't be distributed in the US. It can only distribute it in South America and India and other countries. I said, okay, why did they mark my song? I'm not a terrorist. I'm fighting for equality. I'm fighting for better living standard for people. And what I said is true. So why did they punish me by marking Martin Luther King and preventing it to be distributed?
I think it's, no, it will be the algorithms, because it won't be somebody making decisions. It will be computer algorithms making decisions, and they will see that vocabulary, and they will probably strike everything with that vocabulary, everything that uses Nazis, because they're scared it's going to encourage the far right. So everything. It's just the world we live in, so we have to sort of, we have to use other vocabulary if we want to be distributed on this international, social media.
Yeah, that is, but that is not my intention when producing that song. But now, the song is there. It can't sell. People like it, and it is the first song which got about 4,000 or 5,000 likes on my website.
Yeah, well, we'll play it. We can play it because we don't have to worry about the algorithm. So we will play it. But
definitely. But that song is a reality. It is a reality. But I don't know how politician brain works. They denied.
You'll have to make a new version. You'll have to make a new version for the internet. You have to make a social media friendly version and redo it, because it's clearly an important song, but one that won't get taken down by the algorithms. So make a second version. It's a good opportunity to say the first one was banned, so here is a new one that will not be banned by the robots.
But yes, I understand. I take seriously that advice, and I will rephrase it. But what is the reality is that they denied, and the algorithm you're talking about, it is people who program it. Why should it is a censorship, a technological censorship to infringe our freedom of speech. And what I said in that song is true, and everyone is paying for the price of this embargo. And the embargo, I think that I have nothing to do with Russia. I have nothing to do with, I'm not a Russian, I'm not American, I'm not African, I'm not European. I am a human being. I belong to humanity. And what I'm saying is for humanity, for the benefit of humanity. And they should seize that opportunity
Isn't
to
it? If you're
organize.
from Cote d'Ivoire, it's for your neighbors in Mali, like your brotherhood or your sisterhood.
Yeah.
It's for those close to us that are suffering, close to, people close to home who are being, made to suffer for things that are not not for anything they've done. And also, even if they were doing it, which they obviously aren't, it would be, there's no excuse to make people suffer, like children and families.
Yes, indeed. So that is the reality, Jude. That's the reality. And when you look at, and who imposed that? Who imposed that embargoes? It is the French who imposed the embargo on Mali through the ECOWAS, the African Economic Unions. It's okay. West African Economic State. I didn't talk directly about France. I talked directly about the African
situation. Situation like happening. It's situation like this.
Yeah, so they perceive it. They perceive it that I'm talking to them. So the censorship came down to that.
Well, it might just be a language thing. So do it again and take the language out. Take the Nazism vocabulary out.
Yeah.
Try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I take that's advice on.
Anyway, it's a good excuse to do the song again.
Yeah. But all my previous song, my first song, Change Your Mind, I've also remarked. And the one I love much, Rise Up for Your Life, I've also been marked. So why? Why? But they were not marked before. Rise Up and Change Your Mind were not marked before, not at all. But everything started when the Ukraine war started, and I produced Embargoes Is Nothing. Then all were marked with that small eye on this, okay, on every.
It's frightening, isn't it? But I think we just have to not be too worried and just keep going and rephrasing things, because maybe we're, if we're writing music that's a bit political, well, that might be very political, really important. These things may happen, but I don't think maybe people are after the musicians or to shut them down. They're after, they've got other things on their mind. They're not thinking about.
Okay, I take the advice, but
goodness knows, but they find it hard to see things from different points of view. I think these big algorithms and these big companies. So
the reason is they are dodgy when they think that everything think the same way.
Everything, it's just one size fits all.
That is why we view that. But I'm very happy with
the African point of view, or the point of view of ordinary people in Africa. It's like nothing's changed, has it? In a way that it's all these big countries that are making about their relationships, and in their relationships, they're forgetting about the ordinary people who are just being like pawns in this game. They're nothing to do with this relationship between France and Russia, for example.
Yes, of course. But when I write my music, I don't write my music from their perspective, but I write my music from the perspective of the lay people. That's what I do. Because, that is what musician is about, music is about, and specifically reggae. You look at the circumstances of people and you take a decision to do something about it. But they should praise, they should welcome this. And they said, okay, yes, if someone is talking about this, singing about this, it means that we need to do something about it. But they take the opposite side to repress, to oppress people and to keep them silent. But anyway,
that's it. About reggae, because you were saying especially reggae. So reggae has been really important to you, and also in the music of the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. So why is reggae so important?
Reggae is important. That is what it is, the genre that fits my personality and the way I think. And I think that there is so much going on for the Africans, and the best vehicle to contribute to changing mentalities in Africa is doing reggae, because reggae has that different edge, which is about the political awareness and social and economic awareness. And it is a broad, uh, 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 it has a really a broad spectrum of openness that keep an eye on everything going on in society. Unlike over rhythm that are just musical and just dancing and entertaining, like that. But reggae entertain as well. But by entertaining, you also deliver a message that can impact positively people's life. Okay, you may go to a party, dance, and go home like a rumba or coupe de calais and go and face your problems again. But with reggae, you dance, and you go home, but with a different mindset. Oh yeah, yeah, what he said is true. I'm going to look at thinking from different perspective. So that's what I like reggae. And also, it has been the very first, when I was growing up, music I heard when I was at college. Bob Marley, Bernie Spears, Eric Donaldson. I could listen to those people on the radio. My English was not that better at the time, and I would use a dictionary, go and search it. There was no internet at the time in the 1970s like this. Okay, there was no internet in the 80s, so I would go and use dictionary to work out the word they were using, and I would write the sentences and start singing their song, even though I didn't know what they meant very much, but I started singing with them. So I was already singing when I was at college reggae. And I was playing that instrument, harmonica. I didn't know how I came to play harmonica, but I was singing Bob Marley's song on harmonica, Eric Donaldson's Cinderella, which I love very much, because I have some love song related also to Eric Donaldson, but I haven't produced any love song for the time being, but few will come very soon. So I started, okay, you look at that reggae is a powerful music, at the same time looking for unity and pardon and love and togetherness. So all these ingredient qualities came into, okay, and that is what I stand for. So I said, okay, all of it fit me. So if I have a chance to sing one day, I will do reggae. That is how I came to reggae. And the best person actually who offered me that opportunity is Alpha Blondy, because he was the first to play music, reggae music, and in every court. And we could see him on TV. We could go to his concert and see him physically. Because one thing is to listen to someone on the radio and seeing, but attending a concert was tremendous. And it changed my thinking about a different kind of music in Ivory Coast.
His name again?
Alpha Blondy.
Alpha Blondy.
Yeah, Alpha Blondy.
Yeah.
And the song he produced that time was Brigadier Sabari. Brigadier Sabari, he sang that in Bambara. So, okay, that's what one reason also I decided to maybe song in Bambara. And Brigadier Sabari he was talking about the police brutalities. At the time you could go at a certain time, the police will search people, arrest people. You don't have your ID card, but will take you in detention and beat you up. And he's been a victim of that. And he's been to the US before coming back home to do his music. So he was a bit traumatized by the experience with the police. So I witnessed all that, and I love it. I really love it. And I said, okay. And now he has another song which I sent you.
Going to cut out in a second, so we'll reboot because I think it's going to cut us off.
Yeah.